right, let's jump right in. The world of legal advocacy, it's all high stakes, huge pressure, and it takes a massive emotional toll. But what if technology could give you a private space to just unpack, reflect, and get yourself back on your feet? Today, we're looking at a new AI tool that's designed to do exactly that. This feeling is just so incredibly common for legal professionals, especially those on the front lines. The nonstop stress, the secondary trauma you pick up from really tough cases, just the heat of the fight, it all just builds and builds. This isn't your average 9 to 5. It's an environment that can push you right to the edge. So think about it. When you're juggling intense client needs, trying to navigate this insanely complex legal system, and on top of all that, dealing with your own burnout, where do you even go for support? That is the exact question that sparks the creation of a whole new kind of ally. And here it is. Meet Lisa. It's a new AI voice agent, and it's built to be a private, trauma-informed wellness companion for legal advocates. Think of it as a space to just breathe and strategize. But as you're about to see, its mission is really twofold. It supports the lawyer's well-being so they can turn around and better support their clients. Now, the whole philosophy behind Lisa has a name: Person-Centered Trauma-Informed Lawyering, or PCTIL for short. And what this approach does is it totally shifts the focus. It's not just about winning the case anymore. It's about creating a more healing, more effective legal process by actually recognizing the humanity of every single person involved. So what does that actually look like? Well, for clients, it means putting their care, their dignity front and center. It's about avoiding re-traumatization. But for the lawyers, it's about acknowledging the real impact of the job, the secondary trauma, the burnout, and giving them tools that honor their own well-being. The big idea here is simple. A supported lawyer is a way more effective advocate. Okay, let's see how this plays out in a real-world situation. One of the toughest parts of being a lawyer is dealing with courtroom dynamics, right? Especially when bias rears its ugly head. Lisa's designed to give you support right in those tough moments. So picture this. A user who's a female attorney is in court. She's lead counsel, but the judge keeps ignoring her, directing every single question to her male colleague. It is so frustrating, so undermining, and it happens all the time. So she asks Lisa, how do I handle this? And this is where you see just how practical the support is. Lisa gives her a 2-step plan. First, a super discreet grounding technique to calm her nerves right there in the courtroom. Plant your feet, take a deep breath. Second, it gives her a professional script, a simple phrase she can use to calmly reassert her role without escalating things. But here, this is where the conversation gets really, really interesting. The user pushes back. She asks, is that advice one size fits all? She points out that bias feels different for different people, that there are cultural and racial dynamics at play. It's such a smart question, and it really puts the AI to the test. And Lisa's response shows a really impressive, nuanced understanding. It basically says, you're right. While the feeling of frustration is universal, the bias itself is intersectional. It breaks down how a white woman might face microaggressions about being too emotional, while a Black woman faces compounded biases, like being mistaken for staff or labeled angry, and Latina and Asian women face their own distinct cultural biases. The key takeaway? Real support has to be culturally competent. But Lisa's usefulness isn't just about courtroom strategy. It's also built to help with all the day-to-day crises and, even the personal challenges that lawyers are dealing with outside the office. Okay, here's a perfect example. A public defender in the South Bronx has a client who was literally just released from jail. He's now homeless, and he only speaks Spanish. Talk about an urgent, complex problem. The lawyer turns to Lisa, which immediately offers to find general housing programs and then translate the plan into Spanish for the client. And this is so important. The support system doesn't stop at the professional stuff. To be truly people-centered, a tool has to recognize that lawyers are also just people who are navigating their own big life changes and challenges. So take this user, Derek. He's a lawyer, he's planning a move to San Francisco, and he's hoping to buy a condo. His budget is $560,000, and Lisa just boom, delivers a pretty tough dose of reality. The data shows his budget is way, way below the median prices in popular neighborhoods, where condos are running from 1.2 to even 2 million bucks. And I love this part because it shows how natural the conversation can be. After hitting that real estate brick wall, Derek just pivots. He completely gives up on the condo and asks a totally personal, cultural question. Okay, forget a condo. Where's the good West Indian food? It just shows how the AI can flow from hard data to personal comfort seamlessly. Now, of course, for an AI tool to actually be helpful, it has to be honest about what it can't do, you know? Building trust is all about being transparent with its own limitations. So, for example, Lisa can't act as a live interpreter, but it can help you figure out what to say. It can't give you live traffic updates, but it can point you to the right resource, like the Caltrans Quick Map. It can't give specific, immediate housing referrals, but it can find general assistance programs. This kind of honesty is absolutely crucial for it to be a credible tool. So, let's bring this all back to the big picture. Why is a tool like this so badly needed right now? Well, the need for this kind of support is backed up by some pretty stark data about the legal profession. The hard truth is that the legal field, and public defense in particular, does not spread its pressures out evenly. The data shows that a disproportionate amount of the emotional and professional weight is carried by very specific groups of people. Just look at this data from New York City. Black women make up 12% of all public defenders. That is more than 3 times their representation in the general population. So they are hugely overrepresented on the front lines carrying these massive caseloads. And yet, they only hold 9% of the director-level jobs. This just screams systemic pressure, and it makes tools for wellness and retention so incredibly important. And all of this leaves us with a really big final thought. As AI, like Lisa, becomes a kind of coach for our most human, our most emotionally tangled challenges, we have to ask ourselves, how do we make sure these tools are truly supporting our well-being and our resilience without accidentally letting them replace the very human empathy that has to be at the heart of advocacy? That's a question we're all going to be answering together.